Hi everyone. In this video, we would like to make you acquainted with one of the significant parts of Iranian culture, and that's tea. Together with China, Japan, Russia, England, Turkey and Morocco, Iran is one of the world's great tea-drinking nations. Although it's unclear exactly when coffee and tea first entered Iran, historians believe that both were introduced to the country during the early reign of the Safavid dynasty, 1501 to 1722. Coffee seems to become the regular beverage in Iran around the 17th century. During the Safavid era, which was between 1501 and 1736, places like Kahve Khana, meaning the House of Coffee, started to appear. When Shah Abbas I transferred his capital from Qazvin to Isfahan, he started to redesign this city. This is the time when the magnificent central square, known as the Naqsh-e-Jahan Square, was built. Due to many factors, such as locating far from the coffee-producing countries, Iran started to change its habits regarding the national beverage. The beginning of the change is estimated to be around 1830 and 1850. The most important reason was because of the increased volume of trade between Iran and the outside world. Gilan, the house of the first Iranian tea farms. In 1899, Prince Mohammad Mirza, known as Kashef al-Sultana, who was born in Lahijan, imported Indian tea and started its cultivation in Lahijan. Kashef, who was the first mayor of Tehran and an Iranian ambassador to India under British rule, knew the British would not allow him to learn about the secrets of tea production, as it was their biggest business in India at the time. So, being fluent in French, the prince pretended to be a French labourer and started to work in the tea plantations and factories to learn how to produce tea. Ultimately, his plan was to take back some samples of this tea to Iran to cultivate. He was successful in this endeavour only because of his diplomatic immunity, which stopped the British from searching his secretly stashed sample. At the time, Kashef brought 3,000 saplings into his country from the northern part of India, Kangra. He started the cultivation in the region of Gilan, south of the Caspian Sea. The climate there was well suited for tea cultivation, and the tea industry quickly expanded in Gilan and Mazandaran region. Today, Kashef al-Sultana is known as the father of Iranian teas, and a tea museum has been built in Lahijan to honour his attempt in this regard. Nowadays, more than 100 factories and thousands of hectares of tea farms exist in Iran. Iranian tea has a special colour and taste and is different from teas produced in other countries. Each year, in the middle of the spring, people start to pick fresh tea from the tea farms in the northern regions of Iran. A time-consuming and hard process which is done by the endless efforts of the northern people to provide the country with their favourite drink. Making Iranian tea. Water is boiled in a beautiful samovar, very similar to the Russian samovar, but with Iranian design. A ketri, tea kettle, is always used to warm the water for brewing tea. Loose tea leaves are put inside a well-decorated porcelain teapot, and hot water from the ketri is poured over the tea leaves. The teapot can also be put over a light flame to cook the tea in some homes. The taste of black tea combined with a cardamom pod, a cinnamon stick, a few damask rose petals or a saffron thread is among the popular flavours in Iran. You can't smell the fresh scent of bitter orange blossoms in Shiraz, and do not have a craving for a cup of tea flavoured with dried bitter orange flowers. Once the tea is ready, it's poured by the host into the transparent glasses, estakan. These are never filled to the brim so that guests who find the tea too strong can add hot water from the samovar to weaken it. Tea drinking is today an integral part of Iranian culture and life. From friendly and lively kafekhanas that dot every street in Iran to the warm and welcoming family homes, kachi symbolizes the rich Persian heritage that continues to define the rich Iranian culture of harmony and hospitality, kindness and cordiality, and above all, generosity and geniality. Sweetening tea in Iran. Although some people like the bitterness behind the reddish-brown colour of tea, many prefer sweetening their tea. Would you like to know how Iranians would sweeten their cup of tea? Sugar is the most probable answer when talking about your cup of tea for breakfast time. At home, tea is always served with sugar cubes, breads, and traditional Iranian sweets like gaz and sohan. In the old days, people used to buy a sugar loaf or two and break them into small cubes themselves. If you choose to use sugar cubes, you'd have to know that it's a rule of tea etiquette in Iran to put a sugar cube in your mouth and let it melt on your tongue while you take every single sip of your tea. Many elders are used to dipping their sugar cube in their cup of tea before putting it into their mouth. To sweeten your tea, you have a variety of choices, and you can drink it with saffron rock candies, nabat, dates, dried mulberries, raisins, or other types of sweets. Tea houses and customs nature. Do you have any idea what's unique about tea houses in Iran? As tea became more popular in Iran, many tea houses appeared in the main streets, and people from different social classes with different ages rushed into them. People gather in tea houses and talk while they take multiple cups of tea. Tea houses are traditionally designed in conventional form and architecture. In those ancient ones, dating back to the Qajar era, walls are painted with the famous epic stories of Shahnameh, since raconteurs used to retell the verses and stories of Shahnameh amusingly in the old times. Many tea houses are set in several tacts instead of tables. Tact is a type of long bench covered with rugs and pillows for you to lie down on easily. Chai, which is how they call tea in Iran, at the kavakhana, tea is always fresh, hot and strong. Stronger than the one that's prepared at home. It's always served in transparent glasses called estakan, from the Russian stakan, so that the deep, intense colour of the tea can be appreciated by guests. In tea houses of Iran, your teacup is going to be filled with tea as many times as you wish for. It's a traditional custom to turn your glass upside down to indicate that you don't want any more tea. When do Iranians drink tea? As mentioned before, Iranians drink their first cup of tea when they get up in the morning, and then through the whole day the samovar is on and tea is ready to be served. In ceremonies, special occasions and parties, after meals or while watching TV, tea is always there with Iranian people. Hope to be able to host you at one of the ILA events to serve you some nice Persian tea. I hope you found this video to be informative and hope we can introduce more of Iran's customs and traditions.